Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all well, and look, I've got a brand new sofa. I'm so happy with it. It's so much more comfortable than my previous sofa, I can tell you that. So because of my sofa delivery and the old one being taken away, I actually had a couple of days off this week, Thursday and Friday, and I didn't start reading the book that I'm here to review, Call Me By Your Name, until Thursday. And because I knew I had the time, and it's one of these books, one of these stories where I already knew because I love the film, but I wanted to completely focus myself to it. I didn't want to do that thing of reading on the bus on the way to work and home, and I just wanted that block of time, and I'm so glad I did that, because I ended up reading 165, I think it was, some pages. Oh no, sorry. No, it was about 130 or something. So I read pretty much all that on Thursday and then finished off the rest of it yesterday. But today it's very early Saturday morning. I decided to wait until now to do this review, because of the impact of this book had on me. Now, the other week I did a review of We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and I described it as being how it didn't just, it hit me over the head, as it were. It threw me across the room, shattered me, my body, my bones, and left me crumpled on the floor. Basically, this book was probably, sat at my coffee table, and I could just imagine it now, giggling at me while I'm doing that review, going, "Oh, bitch, please, you have no idea." And my God, this book has blown We Were Liars by E. Lockhart out of the water. It's We Were Liars are not even close to my mind right now. It's the first book by Andre Aciman that I have read, because he's done several books. This was released in 2007. It was a really phenomenal hit, and the film came out, I think it's 2 years ago now, and that brought more interest back into it, and currently he's writing a sequel which should be published sometime this year, but I have absolutely no idea when. So when the sequel comes out, I will be buying a copy right away. And they have said that they are doing the sequel film as well. So I'm so excited. So anyway, I better tell you, because I'm nearly 3 minutes in, and I haven't even told you what this book is about. So Call Me By Your Name is set in Italy, with 17-year-old Ilio, who, here, this is the film tie-in cover. So this is Ilio, and he's 17 years old. He lives with his family, who his dad's a professor, and they always, he's a musical prodigy, and they always have people staying with them, always have academics in the house. He's a very, very smart teenager and such, and it's just culture, art, all that stuff just is always around him. And one day, Oliver, who's right there, he comes to the house because he is doing his PhD, and he's working with Elio's father. At the time, Oliver is 24 in the book. I don't think it's actually referred to how old he is in the film, from what I can recall. It's been a while since I watched the film, but I'm going to watch the film again after this, because I really feel like I need to. But in the book, he's 24 years old, Oliver's 24, and they meet, and it's all about their relationship, the development of this relationship between them, where it goes and how it ends. And it's absolutely astonishing. This oh God, this book completely, it heightened every single one of my emotions. It took me to crazy levels of places. I mean, I kept on sending messages and pictures of pages to my sister and my friend Sarah, and because Sarah has read this book before, and she has the audiobook as well, and I actually read the book along with the audiobook, which the audiobook is read by Armie Malak, who played Oliver in the film. And it's been a long time since I've done that, the last time that I can recall doing that was probably for Ready Player One last year. And you guys know, unless obviously you're watching this and you've not seen my Ready Player One review, but if you have, you guys know how I adored Ready Player One and how I got through it in less than 24 hours. I listened to it along with the audiobook, and that, I said, that is one of the best audiobooks I have come across in a long time, the way you brought it to life, to everything. And once again, the audiobook for Call Me By Your Name was like, bitch, please sit down. The thing with audiobooks is that sometimes it can be very bland and such, because it's just, there's no life behind it. The person who's reading it doesn't bring it to life. Armie just like blew me out of the bloody water with the way that he told the story. He brought it to life in so many different levels. It wasn't just his tone of voice or anything that gave it this sultry, confusing tone, which you kind of feel when you read it, because obviously with Elio, he's 17 years old, he's confused about what this relationship is and everything, and where he is in life and that. So you do have that, that confusing sense of a 17-year-old. But he has this sultry ease about his voice, and he is really bright, and he is really charming and wonderful, and his voice reminds me of Silk. The way in which he is able to, the way that, I love his pauses in this audiobook. I know that may sound silly, because some people get really annoyed with pauses. They're like, come on, let's get, read this, say this as the speed that I would read, kind of thing. But his pauses and where he puts them, it adds to the story, these back and forth conversations and these pauses in between, and it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning, the audiobook. And his voice, along with these sensational words, it's dynamite. It's a star audiobook along with an a star book. So yeah, so it's all about, as I said, their relationship in Italy. Sorry, I forgot to say, it's in the 1980s, and later on we do get some time jumps, which I think is going to be very interesting with this sequel, because I don't know exactly what year the sequel is going to be set, because the time jumps, there's multiple time jumps near the end, so I don't know if it's going to sit right dead in between those two points, or if it's going to be kind of, it starts at the first time jump and then carries through to the second. I have absolutely no idea, but I'd be very, very intrigued to know what it's going to be. But especially the ending had me crying. My whole heart was dedicated to this story. My heart, my soul, everything within probably a few pages. So given what the ending was and the choice of words of the ending, Andre, seriously, you killed me. And so that's why I had to have a day. I had to give myself time to kind of get over it. It's a real book hangover that I've had. I haven't had a book hangover for quite some time. But yeah, I'm really feeling it right now, so much so that the next book I'm going to read, which I've already announced, so this is no big reveal sort of thing, The Great Gatsby, I'm not going to start until Monday, because I feel like I need the weekend to still, well, not deal with this, but I just feel like I can't pick up another book yet. I need to get this out of my system, and then I will. So anyway, as usual, I usually read from a section from the book, and so I want to read you this one. So this is the morning after Oliver's arrival, and he's Elio is very intrigued by this man, and he keeps on using the term later, which is kind of driving Elio a bit mad. But it becomes an important word, believe me, as the book goes on. But this is the morning after, and Oliver is getting used to life in Italy and such, and the lifestyle of this family. And he's Elio is talking about his mother. I forgot to say also, how very bad of me. This is written in like first person perspective of Elio, but it's an older Elio reflecting on his life. And there were several times well, I forgot it was an older Elio, because you really feel that you're caught up in this spiral of a 17-year-old's mind, about life and love and relationships and all that lot. But then he'll suddenly throw in a line to say, oh, 20 years later I would come back to this and that, and I'm like, oh god, okay, yeah, it's an older Elio. It's very clever technique how the choice of words that Andre uses in this book is amazing. But anyway, this is Elio talking about his mother and a glass of juice. So she had been won over well before. On the third morning with us, it's the third morning, not the second morning. When she asked him if he would like juice in the morning, and he'd said yes, he was probably expecting orange or grapefruit juice, but what he got was a large glass filled to the rim with thick apricot juice. He'd never had apricot juice in his life. She stood facing him with her salver flat against her apron, trying to make out his reaction as he quaffed it down. He said nothing at first. Then, probably without thinking, he smacked his lips. She was in heaven. My mother couldn't believe that people who taught a world-famous university smacked their lips after drowning apricot juice. From that day on, a glass of the stuff was waiting for him every morning. He was baffled to know that apricot trees existed in, of all places, our orchard. After late afternoons, when there was nothing to do in the house, Mafalda, that's one of the servants, would ask him to climb a ladder with a basket and pick those fruits that were almost blushing with shame, she said. He would joke in Italian, pick one out, and ask, "Is this one blushing with shame?" "No," she'd say, "this one's still too young. Youth has no shame. Shame comes with age." I shall never forget watching him from my table as he climbed the small ladder wearing his red bathing trunks, taking forever to pick the ripest apricots. On his way to the kitchen, wicker basket, espadrilles, billowy shirt, suntan lotion and all, he threw me a very large one, saying, "Yours." In just the same way he'd throw a tennis ball across the court and say, "Your serve." Of course, he had no idea what I'd been thinking minutes earlier, but the firm, rounded cheeks of the apricot, with their dimple in the middle, reminded me of how his body had stretched across the boughs of the tree, with his tight, rounded ass echoing the colour and the shape of the fruit. Touching the apricot was like touching him. He would never know, just as people we buy the newspaper from, and then fantasize about all night, have no idea that this particular inflection on their face or that tan along their exposed shoulder will give us no end of pleasure when we're alone. Like, it's just, oh, Andre, I feel like I need to go out and buy all of his other books now. It's perfection. It is bold. It is real. It's harsh. It's cruel. It is so real. It's sensual. It's sexy. It's wonderful. And to have it all just about these two people, and it's not an emphasis, kind of thing on in Elio's mind, oh, because I'm falling for this man, does that mean I'm gay? I don't know, he does have a relationship with a girl at the same time, but, it's just how this situation, but he never goes like on a quest to try and figure out what his sexuality is, and that it's all about the soul, the meeting of the soul, it doesn't matter about what gender the person is, or if they define themselves as a gender. It's about the soul and falling for that, and I absolutely love that. Um, about Andre, and especially because obviously being set in the 80s with the the AIDS epidemic that happened in the 80s amongst the gay community, sexuality was a big kind of deal back then, and so it tends to be that with stories that are set in the 80s that there's going to be some reference to that, or some kind of emphasis on that. Not at all in this book. It's not about that. It's just about two souls that meet in Italy in the 1980s and how they connect. And the term "call me by your name" completely just rips my bloody heart out right now. So this is why I have to wait. I'm going to wait a couple of days before I get onto The Great Gatsby. But as I said, the film, which came out 2 years ago, it's an independently made film, but it was quite big and it got nominated for a couple of Oscars. Armie Malak, as I said, plays Oliver, and Timothy Chalamet plays Elio. And this film is stunning. It's beautifully shot, and it really sets the tone that you get from the book, that this is real life. This is just the day-to-day life of what happens over this summer between these two people, these two souls that are meeting. And I love the music. The music's stunning, and there is this whole sequence of this one night where they go out and they're dancing and through the streets and all this lot. It's just absolutely stunning. It's a realistic coming of age story that just, it lives in my heart, lives in my soul. Elio and Oliver, I ship them so badly right now. But yeah, I absolutely adore the book, the audio book, and the film soundtrack. I've got all four. The audiobook I've got on my phone, and the soundtrack I've got left upstairs. But I've got all four. I absolutely adore all four, and all four of these are going to live in my heart for quite some time. So yeah. Right now, Call Me By Your Name is #1 spot for read so far this year, and it's going to take a lot to knock it off that top spot, I am telling you. But I agree with absolutely everything that people have said about this. Like, brave, accurate, elated, naked, brutal, tender, humane, and beautiful, evocative, poetic, and deeply beautiful. Yeah, that was something I forgot to say. I actually commented multiple times how it's like poetry, how it's kind of, you're in this daze, kind of dizzy motion throughout when reading this, and it's absolutely glorious. As much a story of paradise found as it is of paradise lost, extraordinary. Totally, utterly agree. This is absolutely 5-star, star, stunning, wonderful, heartbreaking. Please, please, please read it. It is glorious, and I bow down to greatness to Andre Aciman, and I bow down to the greatness of Armie Hammer and Timothy Chalamet for the film, and I bow down once again to Armie for his absolutely extraordinary audiobook, which I really recommend you reading along with the book. It's unabridged, so you don't have to worry about editing it, but it is absolutely glorious. So those are my thoughts of Call Me By Your Name. As I mentioned, I've already done my notes for my next book, which is The Great Gatsby, which I'm going to be starting on Monday. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will be back with my thoughts on The Great Gatsby as soon as I'm done. Alright guys, bye!